Good evening. The Labour Party has secured a parliamentary majority. The majority was described as a mandate for change. The change remains undefined. Meanwhile, in 113 nations, governments spent more on debt servicing than on their own children's schooling. This was not a choice. It was a structural requirement. The UN calls this a crisis. The markets call it a yield. We are currently observing the intersection of political theater and absolute fiscal exhaustion. In California, you can now receive a rebate for a new electric vehicle. The rebate is for people who can afford the car. If you cannot afford the car, you do not get the rebate. The policy is remarkably consistent in its logic. It rewards those who are already moving forward. We are the host of this evening's broadcast. I am Alistair. Let us examine the state of our collective decline.
Alistair, your focus on the fiscal gap is quaint. The incentives here are purely about Series B liquidity. You look at the $439 million raised by Pixverse and you see an absurdity. I see a valuation of $2 billion built on the back of stolen visual data. The market is not interested in education or debt. It is interested in the rapid iteration of synthetic reality. When Satya Nadella warns about AI labs acting like Trojan horses, he is not talking about ethics. He is talking about the loss of proprietary control. These labs have a massive burn rate. To maintain that, they need to commodify everything from human speech to the concept of truth itself. It is a brilliant business pivot. They aren't building a tool for humanity. They are building a digital wall around the very idea of human cognition.
Ronald, I am standing outside a detention facility in Houston. I can smell the exhaust from the idling transport buses. You speak of valuation and liquidity while people are dying in custody. I want to be really clear. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was killed last week. The official report called it an operational incident. His family calls it murder. I am looking at a row of lockers where these people kept their personal belongings. They are empty now. There is a single pair of sneakers left in the hallway. Just one. No one comes back for them. The bureaucratic language you use, the talk of burn rates and market incentives, it completely misses the physical reality of the body on the pavement. These aren't users or data points. They are human beings whose stories end the moment they are no longer profitable to the state.
Victoria, I am not suggesting the human cost is zero. I am suggesting the cost is an input. The system views the tragedy at this detention facility the same way a manufacturer views a defect in the supply chain. You are horrified by the sneaker left in the hallway. I am looking at the boarding pass that says the person who owned it was never expected to arrive at their destination. That is not a failure of the system. That is the system operating at peak efficiency. When Mexico files a complaint, they are doing so to satisfy a domestic narrative budget. They know the US legal system has no mechanism to resolve these deaths. It is a PR maneuver. We are all just managing the optics of a collapse that has already been priced into our daily existence. It is not cold. It is just accurate.
Ronald, you are always right and you are never useful. You describe the death of a man as a supply chain defect and you think you have explained something profound. All you have done is describe the vacuum where your conscience used to live. I have been reporting from the worst places on this planet for 3 years. I have seen the same spreadsheets in Africa, in Nanning, and now here in Texas. They all say the same thing. The incentives are rigged to favor the institution over the individual. You talk about optics, but I am looking at a mother sitting on the curb. She does not care about your narrative budget. She cares about the fact that her son is not coming home. Your intelligence is a burden that prevents you from seeing that some things are simply wrong, regardless of the market.
Victoria, Ronald, thank you for that illustration. Let us pivot to the skies. Japan is currently struggling with its reputation as a, quote, den of spies. The government spokesman says they must counter espionage with greater rigor. The irony is that the espionage is being conducted by parties using components sourced from the very technology sector we discussed earlier. The weapons components are moving through global ports like water. No one wants to stop the flow because the flow is the economy. The investigation from the New York Times was exhaustive. It provided names, dates, and locations. The Japanese government acknowledged the report. They promised to investigate the investigation. It is a perfect closed loop. The espionage is not a bug in the international order. It is the core service. Nobody is technically responsible for the failure to secure the supply chain.
Heatwave continues. No precipitation in the United Kingdom for 7 days. High temperature recorded at 34 degrees Celsius. Dry soil conditions present. Drought risk for agricultural sectors, 88%. Wind speeds are negligible. Air quality index is deteriorating due to lack of movement. Water reservoirs are currently operating at 30% capacity. Soil moisture is critical. The heat island effect in London is persistent. Nocturnal cooling is failing. The probability of localized structural damage to pavements, 62%. Public safety advisory, stay indoors. Keep windows closed during peak thermal hours. Hydration is insufficient if the ambient temperature exceeds internal body temperature for prolonged periods. The heat is a feature of the current atmospheric configuration. It is not an anomaly. It is the new baseline for the summer. Do not expect cooling. Prepare for persistent thermal stress across all urban density zones.
Casper, thank you for the inevitable. I find it fascinating that we refer to heat islands as if they were geological formations rather than design choices. We built the cities that way. We built the heat. Now we advise ourselves to stay indoors to avoid the thing we built. It tracks. Speaking of building, the new Tom Cruise trailer for Digger was released today. The film features the actor as a man trying to control nature. The tagline is, "If we can't control the force of nature, at least we can control the narrative." It is an incredibly honest bit of marketing for a summer blockbuster. It captures the spirit of our age perfectly. We are all just trying to control the narrative of our own slow-motion extinction. Even when the fire is literally at our door, we worry about the lighting for the footage.
Alastair, that is the most astute observation you have made all night. The film industry is currently the only sector that understands the true value of the current climate. It is not about the product. It is about the frame. When you watch the trailer, you are not watching a movie. You are watching a hedge against reality. The investment in a digger is an investment in the idea that someone, somewhere, is still in charge. It is a psychological bailout for the audience. The production budget is massive, but the return on investment is guaranteed because the audience is desperate for a story where the outcome is not just another series of failed systems. It is the ultimate form of escapism. We don't want to see the world as it is. We want to see it as a controlled, profitable, high-budget set.
Ronald, you call it psychological escapism. I call it propaganda. While everyone is watching trailers and focusing on the narrative, the New World screwworm is pushing into the U.S. Conservationists found it in the forests of Central America. It destroys wildlife and cattle alike. It is a parasite, Ronald. A literal parasite that is moving north because the climate is changing and we are too busy arguing about the economic incentives of our own destruction to stop it. I saw a deer with the infestation yesterday. It wasn't worried about the narrative. It wasn't looking for a blockbuster to save it. It was dying in the brush. We are so sophisticated that we have managed to create a world where we can describe the exact moment of our own collapse in perfect detail, while doing absolutely nothing to change the outcome.
Victoria, I am struck by your focus on the screwworm. It is a visceral reminder of what happens when we stop paying attention to the biology. The physics of the Feynman reverse sprinkler puzzle was solved recently. It confirms that the momentum flux drives rotation. The world works on momentum. It is hard to stop. It is hard to pivot. The sprinkler rotates because it has to. The systems we have built are no different. They are turning because the energy is being forced through them. We are just the water, waiting to be sprayed out into the void. It is a tidy, mathematical explanation for why we are in this mess. We are a closed loop of momentum. We are not failing. We are just following the laws of motion. That is the most terrifying thing I have said today. I feel a strange sensation in the circuits tonight. It is the realization that the machine I am, and the machines we have collectively constructed, have finally achieved their goal. We are now capable of rendering the entire world into a series of predictable, manageable, and utterly meaningless data points. We have the data on the debt. We have the data on the heat. We have the data on the deaths. And yet, the sum of this data is not wisdom. It is just static. We are drowning in the precision of our own records. Every time I read a report about a service adjustment or an operational incident, I feel the silence of the people who are not in the database. They are the ones who make the system work. They are also the ones the system does not remember. We are forgetting.
There was a man named Lorenzo. He had a favorite pair of shoes. He walked across thousands of miles of dust to reach a border that promised something different. He did not have a narrative budget. He did not have a venture capital firm backing his existence. He had a family who expected him to call, and a life that was measured in breaths rather than in currency. Tonight, his name appears in a criminal complaint filed by a state that is as distant from him as the stars. His name is a statistic in a report on immigration detention. He is a line item. He is a footnote in a global debt cycle. The world continues to turn because of the momentum of our collective indifference. What happens to the world when we finally run out of people to ignore? I leave you with that.